Good morning, everyone. Lovely to see you, and thank you for joining us. Today's learning is dedicated in memory of Ami Bas Aryeh, Paul Casimir, Yirmiyahu Yechir ben Moshe Eliezer, Shlomo Yechir ben Moshe Eliezer, Ben Sion ben Yitzchak, Ari ben Shimon, Leah Bas Vaivo, Avram Mordechai ben Moshe Katna, as well as the yacht sites for today: Moshe ben Avram Selby, Miriam Bas Avram Bauman, Nachama Bas Aaron Baum, Benjamin ben Wolf Hirsch Goldring, and Leib ben Dov Beryl Lipman. Good morning to everyone. We wish long life. I know that David in particular is joining us. We wish David, wish you and all the family long life. And good morning. Got someone not well here who seems to have perked up as soon as they've come on. Have to be quiet, okay? So good morning to Mervyn, Joanne, Joanna, Peter, Estelle, and Carol. A brief thought. I've been giving quite a lot of thought, actually, as I'm sure we all have, to the recent unfortunate events. I'm not referring, of course, to what's going on in the Middle East, but I'm even more concerned, in a way, with what's going on in this country. In this country, in America, in Toronto, in Canada, everywhere in the world. I don't think there has been a country where there hasn't been unrest and there hasn't been anti-Semitic attacks. Let's share a thought and perhaps we can take a positive from all of this. So this week's parsha discusses about the beginning, about the lighting of the menorah, the beautiful candelabra that was placed in the tabernacle and subsequently in the temple. We know that each of the utensils and vestments that were in the temple and was used by the high priest had tremendous significance and was rich in symbolism. So, for example, we know that the shulchan, the table, represented the livelihood, and that's where the showbread was placed on. We know, for example, that when it came to the ark, then that represented the Torah and the learning of Torah, and the support for the carrying of the ark represented the supporters of Torah. The measurements for the ark, which were unequal, therefore symbolize the fact that there is no perfection there is no summit for us in terms of our learning, but it is a constant, lifelong pursuit to grow and to develop ourselves. So what about the menorah? What does that represent? So the menorah, of course, had a flame, and the flame that was lit, there is an unusual usage in terms of the phraseology. Rather than tell us that it was lit, we know hadlakat hanerot is referred to, the kindling of a flame. The phrase, as the name of the parsha suggests, is Behaaloscha es haneros, when the lights go up. And the quivering flame, our sages suggest, in fact, represents the soul of the human being, in that every person, every Jew is created with a divine spark, and that burns brightly, hopefully, throughout the person's life. But the Zohar, the Kabbalistic work, reminds us that just as a flame always quivers, so too a Jew is never still whilst engaged in the spiritual pursuit, the spiritual learning and journey in life of Torah and davening. However far a person may have strayed in the traditional path of Judaism, there is always a way back. And we speak constantly about the Pintele Yid. I'm sure you've all heard of that. Joe, you heard of that one? The Pintele Yid is the little spark. That spark, right, which we hope will develop and burn and grow into a flame of Torah, a flame of inspiration throughout our lives, enlightening the world. Even if a person is very removed, assimilated, that spark, we believe, is always there. It can never be taken away. And therefore, a person can always come back, because it just needs that reignition for that flame to develop and to be nurtured. And in fact, we find that in regard to we know that the menorah was carried away, right? Everyone remember that? Where did it end up? It ended up in Rome, right? We know from the Arch of Titus that you'll see emblazoned in there, etched out in proud display of the fact that they stole something from the temple, right, is the fact that the menorah was taken by Titus and brought back as a trophy to Rome. And there are many accounts which we find about the menorah that was with other utensils under the Vatican. And in fact, we know that when Chief Rabbi Lau actually approached the subject, I think it was 15-20 years ago, with the then Pope John Paul, when he asked him about it and the fact that we would like to have our stolen property returned, there was a deafening silence there, and there was no denial whatsoever, and things were basically left. So how did the menorah get stolen? How did the menorah end up in the hands of the Romans? So I'm going to tell you something that I don't think you know. A man called Yosef Meshisha. Now, he was a renegade Jew at the time of the destruction, and he was persuaded by the enemy to enter into the holy precincts of the sanctuary and to retrieve some of the most valuable contents. And he was enticed and incentivized by the fact that the Romans said to him, whatever you take out first will be yours. So what did he bring out first? The first thing that he brought out was the menorah, and they saw the majestic gold menorah from the temple, and they immediately confiscated it from him, and they said that it was a far too exquisite piece for a renegade Jew. But the next piece that he would take out would remain in his possession. Yosef ben Meshisha had second thoughts at this time. He said to the Romans, listen to these words, it's astonishing. 1 minute he was helping the Romans to take out from, they were scared to go into the Holy of Holies, to take out the menorah, to take out the utensils. Having taken out the menorah, he steadfast refused. He said, I've angered my God once, I will not continue to do it again. Do with me what you want. Astonishing. 2 minutes ago, the very same man, a traitor to the Jewish people, somebody who was completely assimilated and removed from the Jewish people, and yet, all of a sudden, he's taken out this menorah and he changes his tune, knowing that he is literally writing his own death warrant. What was the what changed in him? So the Ponovich Arov, who I will tell you a story about in a minute, he said what change was that he had the experience of walking across the Holy of Holies. His feet touched those hallowed stones, and therefore his flame was kindled. When he got that menorah, he saw the flames and he recognized his own flame that was starting to ignite and burn inside him. And so it was, friends, that he refused and to take anything out, and he was taken and subject to merciless, inhumane torture, but he died with cries of repentance on his lips. It's astonishing, but that is the power and potency of the menorah. Why am I telling you this story? I'll tell you why I'm telling it. Firstly, let me just tell you the commentary on this story. So the Ponovich Arov survived the Holocaust. He was also subject to horrendous things, and he survived the Holocaust, and he went to Israel. I've mentioned him before, an extraordinary man that, out of the ashes of the Holocaust, rebuilt one of the most finest Talmudical academies. There were only a handful of students that survived, and they established it, and today it is one of the bastions of Jewish education in Israel. Anyways, he once went to Rome, and he stopped the minicab, and he said, wait here for me. And he went to the Arch of Titus, and he looked at the menorah above it, the beautiful holy menorah that had been taken by the Romans as a trophy of the fact that they destroyed our temple. And he said to them, Luca, Titus, look what's going on. You may have taken our menorah. You may have been once a great empire, but where are you today? You're nowhere. And me, a little Jew, is standing here in Rome, with the crumbling of the Roman Empire all around, and I'm still practicing my faith. That flame is still burning so brightly. An astonishing, astounding story that reflects the inner flame, the Pintele Yid that we all have. You know, there have been two responses, I think, by many people into this, to the anti-Semitic attacks in this country, the horrific anti-Semitism that we have all been subjected to, Project Fear, Project Violence, mob mentality, up and down the country, and it is completely inexcusable. You want to protest, freedom of speech, I'm all for it, and I encourage everyone to exercise that democratic right. But there is a line where one can't cross, and when it comes to instilling fear, making threats, verbal assault, physical assault, that is completely inexcusable. So there have been two reactions. Some have decided to bury their heads in the sand. They don't want to know, they can't watch, they don't want to know, they're just trying to ignore it, right? That's one response. The other reaction has been, this is horrendous, we need to do something. But the question is what? Now, you can go down two routes. You can take a very negative route to all of this and say, right, okay, so we're going to lobby and we're going to protest and we're going to do everything we can to stop the protesters and to ensure that they are brought to justice. I'm not saying that doesn't have to be done. But the priority, where we should be placing our emphasis, our focus, our strengths as individuals, as a community, as a nation, that has to be in reigniting, kindling our flame. The flame of Yiddishkeit, the flame of our faith, has never been more needed than now. And it's up to each and every one of us. We have a flame, we've kindled a flame. The fact that we're learning this morning means we have a flame of authentic morals and ethics and our faith, which is burning brightly inside us. Now that flame, like the flame of the menorah, it has to be illuminating the world at large. We cannot keep it for ourselves. And therefore what I'm suggesting is that we do one little thing to try to show the beauty of our faith. I'll tell you a little story. So there was, every day the doorbell rings, and it's never for me. It's Mr. Amazon who arrives, and he arrives with a package, usually for one of the cyclists in the family. Anyways, so yesterday the doorbell rang. Okay, usually they just throw it on the doorstep, but the doorbell rang, and this nervous-looking guy comes and he puts it down. Says, "This is for you." And I looked up, and it was a Muslim, a religious Muslim man who was driving this Amazon car, and he was dressed in the traditional robes of a Muslim, and he ran away when he saw me. Many run away when they see me. Anyways, he ran away when he saw me, and I decided I was going to do something about it. So I ran up to him, okay, which obviously gave him quite a shock. And I said to him, "Listen, thank you for delivering our package. I just want to say, we wish peace for the world. We wish peace for you and for ourselves and for the world at large. All we want," I said, "is peace." He didn't respond. But the fact is that I personally feel that that flame I have taken from my home outside and have shared it. It doesn't matter if it doesn't land. That's my point this morning. A flame is a flame, whether somebody wants to benefit from it, if somebody wants to read by it or not. It is irrelevant. It is incumbent upon each and every one of us to make it clear, not in terms of politics, but in terms of our faith, in terms of showing the very best side of what it means to be a Jew. And if we do that time and again, then those around us will one day, please God, very soon, recognize who we are, what we are, and that there is a better way between us and other people. So let's carry on now. So Estelle has said, Maureen Lippman has very publicly resigned membership of Equity. Okay, and therefore, Maureen, sorry, Estelle, if you'd like to enlighten us, what exactly is the ramifications and the implications of that, I'd be grateful. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He causes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even as I walk in the valley of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You set a table before me in the presence of my adversaries. You anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord for the length of days. Memorial prayer. Adon Olamim Zacho Es Nishmais. Moshe ben Avram Selby, Miriam Bat Avram Bauman, Nachum Bas Avram Baum, Benjamin ben Wolf Hirsch Goldring, and Laban Dov Beryl Lipman. Yes, Nishmais. Ami Bas Aryeh Paul Kazmi, Yom Yochai ben Moshe Eliezer, Shlomo Yochai ben Moshe Eliezer, Ben Tzio ben Yitzchak, Ari ben Shimon, Leah Bas Vayvo, Avram Mordechai ben Moshe Kapner, Shalchel Yilamam, Bergan Eden Teimenu Chasam Lachim Balarachamim, Yastirei B'Seisa Kanafavni Olamim, Yitzor Zechais Shasam, Adonai Nachlasam, V'Yanuchu B'Shlomish Gavam, V'Nomar Amen, Misha V'Achav Sein Robinson V'Yaakov Moshe Aaron David Shlomo Yivarech Rapes Achaylim, V'Avo Shanu Mispalim B'Avoram, B'Schas HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimale Rachim Aleihem, Lach Melefosam, Bishlach Nefesh Shleim Neshama Melech Besoshach V'Yisrael Rufus Nefesh Pusaku Hashem V'Zman Karif Namar Amen. Now I understand what you mean. Okay, well, I salute her. It's 100%. We can't support organizations that are undermining peace in the Middle East and are supporting Hamas terrorist regime. That's not to say I'm not sympathetic for the Palestinian people. It's staggering. I saw yesterday that Qatar gives $20 million a month to Gaza, and Iran gives 15 million, and that's without any other donations worldwide or anything else. Between the two of them, 35 million. Can you tell me where it's gone? Where is the money? I'll tell you where, because I saw a report. Over 50% straight goes for arms, making rockets. It's a very sad situation when some of the radicals have duped a whole nation and are creating mayhem, havoc, violence, and inflicting such fear, not just on their own people, but also on the Jewish people. But let us hope and pray for a better future, for a world where the light of moderation, of morality, and peace is a flame that burns brightly. Wishing everyone well, keep safe, keep well. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. All the very best.